What is going on, Bulls Nation? So welcome back again for another video. So today, breaking news, the Bulls finally applied for this disabled player exception. So are the Bulls going to take advantage of it? We'll talk about it right after this. All right, Bulls Nation. So basically what it means is that no, Lonzo Ball is still a part of the Bulls team. He still is. His salary is not wiped off. So what it does is we have an extra 10.2 million exception. So we can sign a player, or trade for a player for that up to that amount. But it could only be for 1 year, because this is not a permanent thing. Lonzo Ball is still going to be with us next year. That's basically a disabled player exception, kind of like what Danilo Gallinari got last year, where he can't play the entire year. And obviously Lonzo's that's what's going to happen to Lonzo Ball. So the Bulls have an extra 10 million spending, but keep this in mind, that is not completely true. Because of the Jevon Carter signing, we are now going to be hard capped at 172 million. So keep that in mind. 172 is the magic number. That is if, and that's a big if, the Bulls are willing to go to the luxury tax. And let's pretend they are. So the luxury tax is 165. We are currently 11 million below luxury tax. So meaning, because I'm looking at Sport Track right now, and that doesn't account into Ayo Dosunmu, right? We haven't signed Ayo. So therefore, if Ayo signs, so currently we're 11 million below salary cap. If Ayo accepts our qualifying offer of let's say 5 million, let's just round it off. So now we only have 6 million left. And then you add 10 million to that, right? So now it'll become 16. Now you can't combine that. You can't. You can't combine exceptions with a displayed exception. Any player that we sign has to be within 10.2 or below that, and then that's it. You can't spread it out to multiple players. And currently, as we speak, we only have 10 players on the roster, and we are going to be hard cap unless they kind of rework the contract of Jevon Carter, which they could, so that he would only make 5 million this year, for example, and then you kind of backload it. They could do that, so they cannot take advantage of the full 10 million if that is what their intentions are. So a lot of people are asking, so are we even going to use this? Because our general manager doesn't want to go to luxury tax, and that is a good concern. However, let me rephrase it like this: I'd rather have this disabled player exception than not. Because what happens is, once you apply for it, I think you have till March 10th to use it. So what does it mean? So if anything happens mid-season, let's say you trade, and I feel like they have every intention of trading Zach LaVine this season. Let's say they trade Zach LaVine for, I don't know, man. And they didn't get the salary back, meaning Zach LaVine is making 40. They only absorb 30 because the team that's trading for Zach, for example, can absorb 40, right? So now we have extra 10. Now we can use that. Now we can pretty much get another player with that disabled player exception using that. So we can use it at any time. Now, how are you going to use it mid-season? You still could. It's gonna be a challenge though with the Bulls, especially with the hard cap, because of Jevon Carter. Again, they could work around it, and also the fact that they don't want to go to luxury tax. I guess what I've been hearing is they're gonna take a look at the landscape. Let's say around January or February, we're trending, 4th, 6th seed. Maybe they're willing to go to the luxury tax at that point and sign somebody using that, that exception. The question is, who is going to be available at that point, right? Maybe in the buyout market, perhaps, so you can win the bidding war, because normally on the buyout market, the person being bought out, he's only going for the minimum. But in this case, we can actually offer a lot more. So if somebody got bought out, We can offer them 10 million for that, for at least for this year, and we can keep the guy. We'll see. But early on, for example, right now, because we have 11, and let's assume we don't re-sign Io, right? Like Io signs with somebody else, we didn't match, so we have 11 million and this 10 million. You can probably spread out the 11. Because another who I want for this 10 million is somebody like Christian Wood, because you can only sign a player for this in the last year of their contract, because this is meant to just relieve the Bulls for 1 year. That's what this disabled player exception is. So only 1 year, because I think the Rockets did it back then, and they signed Trevor Ariza. When Yao Ming was out for 1 year, they signed Trevor Ariza for 5 years. And that wasn't the purpose of this disabled player exception. This is meant to just supplement you for this year. So if we sign, let's say, Christian Wood this year using that disabled player exception, we're not tied up for him forever, because we know his defensive deficiencies. So if we are planning any trade, for example, involving Zach and Patrick Williams, let's say the Bulls just doesn't want to pay Patrick Williams. Right, they just don't feel like he's worth 20 million, for example, and they traded him. Now you can get Christian Wood this year and have an assessment if you want to keep him next year. Kind of like this is for players who want to get their value back up there. So I like this move because this is better than nothing. We're not going to get Lonzo Ball this year anyway, so might as well get an exception out of this. It doesn't make sense to do it right now with a career-ending injury, since all the good free agents is gone. Plus, we don't have the cap space anyway, to make a splash. And plus, there's not really a good free agent class, so you could combine those cap space for a much bigger cap space for a star. So it doesn't make sense. So at least with this, we have some flexibility just in case we, let's say, quote unquote competitive. We could make a run for somebody like Christian Wood or PJ Washington, perhaps. Sign them for a year, like a prove it kind of deal for those guys. And then also for the Bulls, you get a quality player for a year that could play for you instead of nothing. So I like this move. I like it a lot. Are we going to use it? I believe so. I believe there's a trade brewing, to be quite honest with you, involving Zach LaVine. That's why we're making these moves, to prepare, and I think we're not going to get that much salary. For example, we do that, and then we get Tyler Hero and some draft picks, which I'm not in favor of, but I can see the Bulls going for this. But yeah, let me know in the comments down below. How do you feel about it, and who should we sign if we ever get that 10 million? Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.